Hi, everyone. Welcome to the So True Network with Dawn Johnson and Powers. I am so glad you're here, and I'm extremely excited to have you here for our In Tru Conversation series. In this space, we sit down with community leaders, educators, and our community voices who are making an extraordinary impact. Together, we'll explore how their journeys connect to the So True pillars: community empowerment, women's empowerment, and financial empowerment. These conversations are about truth in action, our overlapping circles with great people and their stories that remind us we are stronger together. As you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our So True updates. Connecting the dots between your evolution and your work, going from making money and that
Mhm.
being the focus and shifting it and evolving it. Because sometimes I think that's where we get off track. We start up doing some things and we kind of lose focus on the
Mhm.
why, and the purpose gets lost in it. So when I hear people like, I don't really know what my purpose is, I'm like, somehow you got off track. So that's
Mhm.
why even in the 8 steps to financial empowerment, once we get the three foundational steps down, the fourth step is dreaming.
Mm.
Like, I've read almost every financial book out there, but no one seems to circle people back around to dreaming and their purpose. They go kind of straight to maybe retirement and living a good life and
Mhm.
having the things. But people are truly driven by purpose. I even
Yeah.
think the people who are doing not so great things in our country, really hating other people, just this climate right now.
Mhm.
I think those are a bunch of people who have no purpose
Yeah.
and they don't understand their purpose. Um, so to what you're talking about, I think is hugely important and impactful to help young boys at an early age because I think when they are getting off track, I'm meeting so many black men who have actually been to prison and are now doing great things in the community. And it's because it's unfortunate that pause in life, that trauma, helped them reset
Yeah.
to say, okay, what can I've now tried this thing and it didn't work out. I had the skills to do
Yeah.
something really great, but now how can I
Yeah.
transform those skills into something that won't land me in jail again?
Can I share something to that
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
So if we thinking about the question about, I'm thinking about like if I had to go like super deep and like the the strongest motivation for like the work I'm doing, I think about my brother James. So when
Mhm.
you talked about like somebody that's been incarcerated, right? When and you've I think you've heard this story before. Like my my entry point to like extreme welcome to life was when I was 6 and James was 8 and he was shot in the back by our neighbor.
Mm.
And so naturally me and him we always help people, and like we were both I don't know why we were in the school this day, but our neighbor, we used to always help his mom take groceries up to the
Mhm.
to their house. She was an older lady, and we get upstairs. This day, Keith, the guy's name, he had groceries, so me and James help him carry groceries up to his house.
Mhm.
We get in the house, and Keith, I'm not sure if he was joking or not,
Yeah.
he says, "Hey, I'm gonna show you some guns. I want you to shoot your brother." I, 6, take off running. It startles him. He drops the gun out of his hand. One goes behind out the door past my head, and the second one catches my brother. Right.
Wow.
I carried him down both those flights of stairs. I was a kid. Like, if you see my first grade report card, I was the one. I got in all the trouble.
Mhm.
My brother James was not. But over that next year, he missed an entire year of school. And so I vividly remember seeing the difference in how James was treated when we went back to school. He went from being a teacher's pet to this kid with a lot of trauma that wasn't really addressed yet, to just being labeled, this the little boy from the hood that got shot, this little boy that is behind. Like all these different labels was placed on him
Mhm.
without the the wraparound support that he truly needed.
Mhm.
And he ended up starting out into a life of crime and a lot of different things that he got into, but nobody ever saw the boy and poured
Mhm.
into the boy.
Right.
So when I see these kids, sometimes I think about a situation I had a couple of years ago when I was in the classroom. You hear about the stories that these kids are battling,
Mhm.
and if we don't stop and ask why and then pour into them, there's so many more black boys that are going to not be able to do what James is doing right now. He's not perfect, but he's working a full-time job. Actually, he just got the general manager position at Popeyes on Cherry Road. Like he's able to turn himself around, but there's so many that are not. And so for me, like when I'm working with all kids, but
Yeah.
especially those black boys, like I keep those stories in the back of my mind.
Yeah. No, and we connected on that in particular because I have a similar story of someone who I'm very, very close to in my life, and same thing, similar thing. Like there was some transition that happened in life, maybe some unresolved childhood trauma just in, you know, the parents transitioning from one relationship to another relationship, and I think maybe she getting lost in the shuffle and maybe not
Mm.
paying attention to what her needs were. And I remember thinking that, wow, like this person is the smartest person I know. Like I used to look up to them even though they were mean to me, and they will say that they weren't mean to me, but they were. And I talk about that a little bit in the book Rules of Engagement. But I just thought they were so smart. But I think that they were so smart that school bored them.
Mm.
And so when they lost interest in school, guess what's there for them?
Mm.
The streets and
Yeah.
the other, the kids. And then you become the smart person in that group, everybody's paying attention to you,
Yeah.
right? When you can do all the things, you're great at sports, you're great at music, you can just make things happen. And that world was attractive
Yeah.
because school was not. And maybe you get labeled because you are so smart. Typically, those kids get labeled as bad.
Hmm.
They, get again a label placed
Yeah.
on them because they're so busy and they're bored and they're always thinking of things to do. So you get these labels, the street is embracing them, and then they went down a path that landed them in jail.
Yeah.
But once they were there, like, okay, it's time for me to get my life back. They had actually dropped out of school, so didn't graduate from high school. But when they were incarcerated, they got their GED. They then went on to get their associate's degree, and it's kind of like, okay, I can do this thing. And then they got their bachelor's. Next thing you know, they got their master's, and now
Yeah.
this person has a PhD. And
Yeah.
I'm going GED to PhD.
Yeah.
And I often think, okay, maybe that had to be their journey, but did it have to be their journey?
Yeah.
Like, what could have happened
Mm.
community wise? And like you, I think that has driven me to do the work that I do because I'm always asking that question, where can I interject myself in someone's life where they can skip that part?
Yeah.
And so you talk a lot about a village concept. What is your dream and aspiration from the work that you do into creating more of a village?
Before I answer that, can I ask
Yes,
you a question?
yes,
I want to think because you said something that sparked. I was thinking about your rules of engagement book, right?
yes.
So, wait, if you have that, like that family member, or mine was a family member, yours is, I'm not sure, was a
Family
friend or
member.
family member. Like, if you think about, there are a lot of parents that have these kids that oftentimes, and even those parents had experiences in the educational system where they felt like I didn't get what I needed. What skills or like maybe strategies from like your book
Mm-hmm.
could you would you say to parents to be able to engage with the maybe teachers or maybe the principal, maybe community members to be able to better teach their kids?
Yeah. And I think that it's pay attention. Like I think something my mother used to say. So my mother would come up with all of these catchy sayings. Like at the end of you get ready to hang up the phone, and she would say something, and you're like, and then she would say it over and over and over again. So now it's cemented in your mind before
Yeah.
she goes on to the next thing. So for a period of her life, when she ended every conversation, she would say, "Pay attention."
Mm.
So
Ooh.
I started to pay attention to stuff,
That
and
says a lot too, without even saying a lot.
right, right. And she was like that. Like she would just drop. My mother, first of all, I had grade school education. I have to make this point here. But she read the Bible every day. So the Bible was on her on our kitchen table my entire life. Like as long as I've known my mother, since I was born, that Bible was on the kitchen table and she read it every day. And so she learned, I think, to just talk in parables.
Yeah.
So she ends up saying stuff, and we were like, what is she talking about? Did mom say this? So the pay attention mantra, we started kind of paying attention. And I think that's the lesson, that really watch your kids and start to pay attention to tendencies that they have, interests that they have, and then just try to motivate and encourage them just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot. And I did that a lot with my daughter, even though it drove her crazy sometimes because, she started making up concoctions in the bathroom. And at first, my husband would just get so upset because he's like, look at your bathroom, it's a mess. And she would just be, I mean, I don't know where she got that from, but she would just be putting stuff together. I would fall asleep on the couch and wake up with stuff on my face. And I'm like, Tina, what did you put on me? My face. Oh, mommy, it's going to make you beautiful. And but I started paying attention to what that was in her. And then I noticed that she would start taking things apart to put it back together. Now, we might, get upset with our child for taking something apart that you purchased them, but I was paying attention to the fact that she's curious. She wants to know how this thing works. Yeah. So she's going to take it apart and see if she can put it back together. So then, when she broke the garbage, I think she's about 13 or 14, and she broke the garbage disposal. And I was like, well, your dad told you not to put potato skins down the garbage disposal, so you're going to have to pay for that. And it's going to have to come out of your, allowance and everything. So next thing I know, she got the dry cleaning plastic and put it all over her. She had some goggles and some gloves, and she took it apart and fixed it. And fixed it and put it back together. So I just started to see this tendency in her. Yeah. And I started telling her, it's like, I think that, first of all, if you want to just go into plumbing right now, we can open up the Pretty Girl Plumbing Company. Yeah. But just helping them understand the things that they can do. And so she was always encouraged in her, do you want to make cosmetics? Do you want to make skincare products? Do you want to be a plumber? I never made her feel like her skills, her talents, or her inclinations was anything bad. So I think that that's what we can do as parents, is to pay attention to what our children are good at and continuing to encourage them in that. And I knew that the word chemical engineering, even though I started to talk to educators and like, okay, my daughter has these tendencies and she's really good at math, she's really good at science. I didn't really know. I was an educator. What does this mean? What can I do as a parent? So I utilize my resources to help me navigate my child's education. Then I found out from a second grade teacher that really pay attention to the fact that your daughter, she loses interest in stuff real quick. So, and she said they're going to misdiagnose her and say that she's ADHD. And she's like, she's not. I'm ADHD. I take medication for it. And this is what the teacher is telling me. And I know what that looks like. Your daughter is a sensory learner. So she helped me understand, if the teacher doesn't get her emotionally connected to the subject, she's lost. She's going to be looking at the birds, and whatever emotionally captures her, that's what she's going to be into. So I learned that. So I made sure that I paid attention to whether her teachers were engaging her or not. And if they weren't, it became my responsibility to find something to connect her to what she was learning in school. Right. So I know it's a long way to answer your question, but I think that parents just have to pay attention. And I understand we're busy, we're working, we're trying to pay the bills. So even creating your own network, utilizing your friends and your family and your resources within your community to get your children what they need. So no, I'm not Sally Homemaker. I'm not crazy. I know how to cook, but I didn't enjoy it. My mother loved to cook, and I had to be the preparer and cut up the things, and I'm like, I'm not about that life. So, but I saw my daughter had a tendency. She loved to cook. She would just go in the pantry and make stuff, and I'm like, Okay, I'ma
Mhm.
eat it, but I'm trying to think, what do we have in the pantry? What's in here? And so my neighbor who loves to cook, she stays at home as a mother and takes care of her children full time. So I'm like, hey, can you like help let my daughter hang out with you so she can, see if that's a tendency. So I utilized
Yeah.
my resources. I didn't think that I had to provide her everything that she needed. I found other people and connected her with them and made sure that I can trust them if they love my child the way that I love my child. And that's how my child is now, in her junior year chemical engineering major because of community. My husband and I don't take full credit for who she is. Just like if she were to make other choices that are not so good, it's not all on us.
Yeah.
It's on our environment, it's on our community. We all play a role into who
Yeah.
we're producing in this world as citizens.
For sure.
Thank you so much for joining us for In True Conversations. Every story shared is another piece of our collective truth that we're presenting to our community to build together. I invite you to stay connected with the So True Network by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and please share this episode with someone who you think may need it. Remember, your truth matters, and when your truth and my truth intersect, we will find liberty. So I'll see you in the next conversation.